afternoon, everyone. Good morning or good evening, wherever you are in the world. So we're here to talk about the Madeline Soto case today. I've got my trigger warning up. I don't often put a trigger warning on videos because it's true crime, right? We talk about horrible things. But this case is just one big trigger warning. Honestly, it really is. So we're here to talk about the interview with Jenn Soto. And this is a requested live stream. A couple of people asked me if I could comment on this interview. So here I am. Now, yesterday I did a recorded video on Summer Wells, and I did actually promise to do a live stream yesterday as well as a recorded video. However, it didn't happen. I had to go out, and then when I got back, I was really tired because I'm still a little bit ill. So it didn't happen. But I promise you, there are two live streams coming on the Delphi case. One on jail fencing and one going through Patrick Westfall's latest appearance on YouTube. Thank you, Kimberly. Thank you so much for gifting 5 memberships. You are so kind. We've got Esme. We've got Jan Nursikins, Chinlo, and Robin. So welcome. You get a month's free membership courtesy of Kimberly. And we've got Purple AJ hopping in with another 5 gifted memberships. Thank you so much. You are so generous. We've got Granny, Snarky Lady, Stephanie, Sarah, and Jen. So welcome you all. So thank you so much, Kimberly and Purple AJ. You're very generous. So kind. It's absolutely tragic. It totally is, whoever put that comment in. So I'm going to say a couple of hellos, give people a chance to come in here. I know that quite a few YouTubers have gone through this live stream already, or not live stream, interview already. But I am just going to throw my 2 pennies in. I'm not going to go through the entire interview. It's nearly 3 hours long. I'm focusing on kind of the mid part of it because this is where the cop turns tail on Jenn, and she really did not expect it. She did not expect it. And I honestly don't know what to make of this woman. I don't know what to make of her. I've gone through all the discovery on camera, read all the discovery in the little mini series that I called the Stearns Files. So that will continue as more discovery comes out, you know, like the written reports. And the cop's synopsis of this particular interview, which took place on the 1st of March, does not do this interview justice. Like when you just read the summary report that a cop writes, you know, it's very formal language. And yeah, this cop was really good. There's 2 cops in the room, but one of them did the bulk of the talking. Is she finally arrested? No, she isn't. She isn't finally arrested. This is a witness interview, so it's not an interview in a cell type situation, in an interrogation type situation. You can see that she's sitting in a comfy room. So this will be the room that they use for victims. Like comfy couch, some tissue there, and yeah, nice environment. Unlike the stark interview rooms that are used during interrogations when somebody's detained. So no, she's being interviewed as a witness, but this cop just doesn't believe her. And by the end of it, he just says, I don't believe you. I don't believe you. I do not believe you. And I can understand absolutely how he feels. When I read the discovery and, you think about it just from the written reports, and even some of the, the really most important interviews, which are, of course, with Jenn and Stefan, you can reach a conclusion. I certainly, reached the conclusion that maybe she, and maybe I still believe this, kind of the last time I talked about this case, I said, I think she knew something. I think she had an idea. I think she was able to just push it to the back of her mind because it was easier for her, because she wanted to keep Stefan around. And she knew that the fact that Stefan and Maddie slept together, wanted to stay up late and watch movies and do sleepovers. And she would say, no, she didn't feel comfortable with it and she can't risk it, was one of the terms she used. And then she let them anyway. And she either ignored every single instinct that surely every parent has when they actually care for their child. Those little instincts that you get, that this situation isn't quite right. This situation doesn't feel quite comfortable. And, if you're a parent, really trust your instincts. Just your instincts. But she seems not to have had any idea. No idea whatsoever. No idea. And towards the end, and we're not going to get that far through, but please do go and listen to this. If you haven't seen it, go and listen to it. There's a number of different channels that have got this full interview. I'm playing this from Gray Hughes because he lip synced, because in the original, the sound, the audio doesn't quite match Jenn's mouth. So I think the sound and the visuals are a little bit off. So what he's done is sync them together. So you get exactly her facial expression as she's saying the words. So I like this one. But there's a number of other channels. Plunder's got it. I also wanted one with no commentary on it. So I know Grizzly True Crime did one with commentary on it. Plunder has got it without any commentary. And Gray Hughes has posted this without any commentary. So I'm playing this from Gray's channel. And the link to this is in the description box. Fair use and blah, blah, blah and all that. But yeah, all right. I was going to say a few hellos actually before I got going, but let's do that. Let's just go up to the top of the chat and see who was in even before the stream got going. Angie baby, Blue Willow, good morning, good morning. Asha, hello. Kimberly, hello, hello. Pamela, let's see what else we've got here. We've also got Casey Marie, Sue, Paper Chaser, Sandra from Spain, Snoozy Girl. Looking forward to hearing my thoughts on this. I'm not watching the Carly Gregg channel trial. I'm ill, right? I'm ill, and I can't piece words together. So I do know the trial's going on, but honestly, I can't concentrate on anything at the moment. I'm really struggling to. I'm struggling to read. I've got this really bad brain fog, and I'm really struggling concentrating on anything. So I've given myself a few days off, like watching loads of true crime that I've got to really concentrate on. And I'm watching Netflix. I'm watching Prison Break. I've never actually seen Prison Break, actually. So I'm watching it. And I even with that, I have to keep rewinding. Like, what was that? What was that? What was that? So, yeah. I've got a little bit of a cold. I had a little bit of a sore throat earlier on in the week and a cough. But I have ME. Chronic fatigue syndrome. So whenever I get like a virus or anything, it really like hits me like the fatigue and the brain fog. It lasts forever. So I will watch that trial, but I'm not watching it at the moment. So I'm behind. I'm behind with everything. I also want to do. There's a woman that's missing under really, really concerning circumstances. Some of you might have heard it. I can't remember her name. I told you I'm so bad. All right. Sleuth Mom's done a live stream on this. I haven't actually watched this, but from 9 hours ago. But this young woman here, Jessica Barnes. Has anybody heard of this one? Jessica Barnes. I think she's 20 years old, and it's an odd one. It's an odd one. So I'm gonna dig into that case as well very soon. All right. Let's just go. Let's just get on with this. All right. So I'm gonna zoom it in to focus on Jenn's face. Like the cop's just leaning forward. The cop's very. I wish I'd been in an interrogation room, actually. You know, where they position the detainee and they position themselves in certain places. But the cop was great. Because what they did, like I said, there was 2 cops in the room, but this guy did most of the speaking. Don't know his name. Need to know his name. And he let her talk. He let her go through with very minimal interruptions. He let her go for the first, I'd say, 35 minutes, just going like through step by step, like Sunday night, and then Monday when Maddie went to school, and then when she went to pick Maddie up. And it was just like, you know, it sounded rehearsed. And obviously it can't be that rehearsed because we're only like 4 days into the case. So I guess you would say the 5th day, because Maddie was reported missing on the Monday, 26th of February. So actually same day that Sebastian Rogers went missing. And then this is the Friday, the 1st of March, if you look at the date here. And the day before this, the 29th, the day before this, the 29th, because it was a leap year, wasn't it? They told Jenn that they believe Maddie had been murdered by Stefan. The public didn't know that at the time. They told Jenn ahead of time. From what I can glean from this interview, anyway. Wanderlusting, member for 2 months. Thank you so much. Thank you. So they told her ahead of time, and then on the morning of the 1st of March, they did a press conference, and it's the one that my jaw was on the floor when they revealed that they believe Madeline was dead, and they were so upfront. Madeline's body hadn't been found at that point, and they said that they'd seen Stefan on surveillance video. They believed Madeline was dead in his car. And then it was only a few hours after that they actually found Maddie's body. Like, it was the same day, but like in the afternoon. And if you look at the time on this interview here, so I'm an hour and 11 minutes in. So it must have started maybe 1 o'clock, just before 1 o'clock. So she's there in this interview, and only a few hours later, Maddie's body was found. That they were following up a lead from a guy on Old Hickory Tree Road who'd seen Stefan, like recognized the car when, you know, the cops put out the description, and recognized that he'd seen Stefan changing a tire on Old Hickory Tree Road. And it was, she must have finished this interview just as they were finding Maddie's body, honestly. So I don't know what they did. Like, did they bring her back in to say Maddie's body had been found? I don't know. We haven't seen that yet, if they did that. Oh, we got another message here. Just go up. This computer's driving me absolutely insane. Try and do it on this side. Can I see member messages on this side? Yes, I can. Thank you so much for being a member for 5 months, Shelby. Yeah, I am. I'm torn over Jenn. I'm going to stick with what I've said up to now, that I don't believe she was involved, but I think she wanted to keep Stefan around, and I think she just ignored every instinct that she had because it was convenient for her. But the way that she, like, she does cry, but I don't see real tears. I was zoomed in on her face when she was crying, and she did have, I think she was crying. I don't think she was faking it, but it wasn't real emotional crying. I think it was maybe the dawning realization about what shit she was in. I think that was really why. And she was so unemotional. Like at the end of this interview, and again, we're not going to get all the way through that, but at the end of this interview, and this cop was really pressing her for where Stefan might have taken Maddie. You know, where does he know, and where did they go, and what areas did he like, and did they go hiking in certain areas? And she was so cold and so matter of fact. It was pretty cold, I have to say. Now, maybe she's medicated, maybe she's just still in this massive, you know, denial phase, possibly. Yeah, the Woody Allen comment says she knew. Yeah, I talked about that the other day. Yeah, that comment was from the interview the day previous to that, to this one that we're going to do. Yeah, the Woody Allen comment. Crying sounds like someone took their toy away. I think definitely that's what I got from Stefan. That I think he genuinely regretted murdering Maddie. Not because he loved her, but because he's broken his toy. He'll never have his toy back. Whereas Jenn, I think, is crying for Stefan. I think she's crying for Stefan. And the amount of shit that they're in. And the cop pulled her up twice for something that she said to Chris Stearns, Stefan's dad, that when she was confronted, the cops confronted her with one of the pictures on Stefan's phone. I did watch his interview, yeah. If you want me to go through that, I can do that another time. But she was confronted with this picture of Maddie and Stefan together. And she told Chris Stearns to get Stefan a lawyer. And twice this cop pulled her up saying, you know, who are you actually concerned for here? You know, it's, I mean, yeah, I mean, you would say to somebody who was in deep shit, you'd say something like, you need to get a lawyer, mate. You really need a lawyer. But she's the mother of the child who's been murdered by the guy who'd been abusing Maddie for years. And she says, you need to get him a lawyer. I'd be like, we need to get that guy in the ground. That guy needs to be put in the ground. Who can we get to do it? Who can we get inside the jail who'll do it? I'd have been plotting his demise, not planning on getting him a lawyer. Prison break, you can lock me up with Wentworth Miller any day. Oh dear. I've never seen Prison Break, never watched it. But I'm nearly at the end of season 2. Anyway, right. Without further ado. So audio isn't great. I've got it turned up. I do have the CCs on, but when I zoom in on Jen's face, you won't be able to see them anywhere. It's not too bad. It's not too bad. But this guy's cool. All right.
This is a homicide investigation. Yeah. Based on the evidence I've seen, based on the videos I've seen, I do believe. With that being said, and the reason I tell you that not to be an asshole is because the thought process with us leads it in a different investigation, a different way. Meaning, whatever has already happened, right? We cannot change what happened most likely on Monday. We cannot change the fact that I believe Stefan killed her, right? All we can do now is find her as quickly as possible. On the 2% chance we're wrong and she is alive, that's phenomenal, right? That's the best thing that could happen. On the chance that we are 100% correct and she has passed away, finding her now versus later will bring closure to your family, will bring closer to everybody, regardless of how it happened or why it happened. Meaning, if you have an inclination, if you know where she's at, if his father knows, that doesn't mean those people get held accountable for what he did. It doesn't mean those people get held accountable for knowing what he did. It means we close out the investigation.
I mean, she's really concentrating there, in my opinion. It looks like she's really listening there. Like, maybe she's thinking, maybe if I do tell him all I know, it'll be okay. And I think that's why they did that interview in April. They brought her back in April. And I can't wait to see if they will release that video. Because, again, we have the summary of it. And that was with the Attorney General. And they granted her kind of like temporary immunity, if you will. Not quite, but, you know, they basically said, you know, if you will ignore any, you know, misdemeanor level offences that you may incriminate yourself in, you know, like I guess lying to the cops would be one. You know, if she disclosed something really felonious, like, oh yeah, I murdered her really, or whatever, it wasn't that kind of immunity. But any low level offences, they said, well, we'll ignore those. You know, if you do incriminate yourself on anything low level, we'll ignore those. We just want the truth. So the fact that they brought her back in April with the Attorney General tells me that they didn't believe her. They believe that she knew more, and they wanted to have another go at her. They wanted to have another crack at her. But here, she looks like she's really concentrating. And to me, honestly, this is one of the reasons why I'm a little bit conflicted with Jenn. Because it's almost right, like she's very immature. It's almost like she's not fully understanding the seriousness of the situation. Can she be so naive? It's difficult to think, but some people are. We have to say this. I said this the other day. Some people genuinely are that naive, and some people are really that gullible. I see it. I've seen it loads when I was like working with victims groups and stuff. You do get very, very manipulative offenders. Stefan Stearns was the perfect offender for this kind of woman, because he's got this whiny voice. He's very softly spoken. He's very childlike himself. And I think they got on well together because they were both very immature. The Woody Allen comment suggests it's not naivety. There is that. There is that. There's certain things that she says that make me believe she does understand the gravity of this situation. Like telling his dad to get Stefan a lawyer. Saying that she, you know, she doesn't want to risk it, like them sleeping together. There's those little comments that stop me in my tracks. And I think, is she just playing gullible? Is she just playing it? But I think, regardless, I think there is a very immature mind here. Even if she actually knew what was going on with Maddie and she was denying it, I still think there was immaturity there that I can't quite put my finger on why that is. I mean, earlier on in this interview, and for anybody who wants to go back and listen to it, it's about the 35-minute mark, it's about here. And she says that Stefan was lying to his parents. And the cop says, well, did you not think he might be lying to you as well? And she said, no, I thought he was telling me the truth. I thought we were friends. I thought he was telling me the truth. But he was lying to his parents. He was stealing money from his dad's closet to buy remote control cars. It's something a teenager would do. You know, oh, I'll just nick this money. My dad won't realise. And he bought 2 remote control cars that he liked to play with. And she, you know, she seemed to be okay with that. It's just a very weird pair. And then his dad, I actually quite like Chris Stearns. He's way too talkative, but he's not under any illusion. You know, he was up front, and he was, yeah, he's rotten. He's rotten. But Chris Stearns, if you've heard his interviews, Chris thinks Jenn's involved. Chris thinks that they had some criminal enterprise going on. And then it's interesting, once again, in this interview that's right on your screen right now, Jenn says that Stefan had money and she didn't know where he was getting the money from. Now, was he selling pictures? Was he selling videos online? And if so, how much did Jenn have knowledge of that? And you know the kind of videos and pictures I'm talking about. So it was like every red flag, every warning sign was there for Jenn. You know, where's this money coming from? You know, Stefan's not working. Yes, he's stealing stuff from his dad. But all this money that he had, is he stealing it all from his dad? Is his dad giving him the money? or was he getting the money from elsewhere? So that is a massive red flag. Why is she not concerned? So she thinks that he's doing all this underhand stuff with his parents. He's got this money that just appears out of thin air, and she thinks he's like really truthful with her. It's just weird. It's just weird. Weird. Anyway, let's carry on with this. Very enlightening interview.
You know what I mean? So a lot of times we go into rooms like this and we ask people questions. We say, hey, do you know what happened? Do you know what happened? And there's this fear of what happened already happened. I can't change that. So I'm not.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you, Buttercup baby. She knows the difference between right and wrong. Many juvenile minds are locked up. Absolutely. I'm not saying that she's blameless because she has a juvenile mind. I'm not saying that at all. I don't know about Florida, but in the UK, you are culpable at the age of 10, like legally culpable for any crimes you commit from the age of 10. So under UK law, a 10-year-old can understand enough about morality and enough about right from wrong to be charged with a crime. So even if Jenn could be, diagnosed and confirmed to have the mental age of a 10-year-old, still she would know the right from wrong. So I'm not saying because she's got an immature mind that she's blameless. Absolutely not. But what I am saying is that her and Stefan, I think, got on so well because they're both very juvenile. But Maddie was caught in the middle of all that. Maddie was caught right in the middle of all that. And look what happened.
I'm not going to insert myself with knowledge because it's going to make me look bad. Regardless, at this point, I murdered her, right? He victimized her. He ruined her entire life from childhood until now. I think that there's probably some sense of guilt. And my fear is that sense of guilt is causing you to not want to assist in the location of her, not because you're a bad person, but because there's that sense of guilt that what was happening under your roof. And now, by her being found, brings that all to your plate, and it doesn't.
Oh no. If I knew anything, I would so tell you. I want to believe that she said, because you guys tell me your suspicions, but I'm not going to believe it until I have her body.
So there are things, and the reason I say these things, and again, I'm not trying to be an asshole, but the reason I say these things is there's been a lot of things you've said, and a lot of things I've kind of researched between the Fox 35 story, between your initial statement to the police. A lot of things have changed. The initial statement to the police was you watched her get dragged, you watched her leave, you knew exactly what she was wearing.
Can I tell you?
Absolutely.
Absolutely. The Fox 35, so she called Fox 35 News on the Tuesday morning. So this would have been the day after Maddie was reported missing. That was the interview where Stefan was like loitering about in the background. So the interview was with Jenn, but he's there sitting loitering about in the background. And then I think it was the day after that, so that would be the 28th, that they both did that interview with the local news channel. I can't remember the name of it, but they did that interview together, and Stefan's there with his tears, and I really believe Stefan was genuinely upset, but not for the reason that his stepdaughter's missing, but for the reason he knows full well that he broke his toy. So yeah, it was very clear from what she said in those interviews with the news. She said one thing to the news, and then she told the cops something else, and then she had to walk it back, because she told the cops initially, and it's right there in the police reports, that she saw Maddie about 8 o'clock getting ready for school, and then she had to walk that back. She had to walk that back and say, well, no, I didn't see her. So you can understand why the cops just weren't believing a word she said, honestly, at this point.
process on that, or where I came from with that. I was handed this form, and I'm like, where do I start? What do I write? And somebody said, tell them what you saw. And so I started with I saw, and then I wrote out what I wrote out.
So because someone told her to write down what she saw, she decided to write down a lie and say that she saw Maddie getting dressed. Okay. All right.
But it wasn't until later I was like, wait, I didn't see her. I assumed that I saw her. I assumed that I heard her, but I didn't. In reality, I didn't see her. I only saw him. And I heard something in the kitchen, but I don't know who that was.
Which we talked about today. But I guess there's other concerns. Right? You were nervous. The police have showed you their hand. They said, Stefan, we want your phone. Stefan, we want to talk to you. You're going to lock down your residence. You can't go back inside. Me?
And that honestly is not usual in a missing child case. That is not usual, that they lock down an entire residence unless they have firm reason to believe that harm came to that child in that residence. They don't lock down a house. I mean, look, sometimes when they don't lock down a house and then it turns into a murder investigation, they may have lost some evidence. But usually, I think they understand that they'll take that risk and, you know, keep the family in their house while, you know, their child is missing, just in case there's no foul play, just in case they're, you know, interrupting this family at the worst possible moment. Because I think they realise that a clean-up operation is never as solid as what a murderer believes. And I'm going to give you an example. Gannon Stoke. So if anybody knows the Gannon Stoke case, and Letitia Stoke, who was Gannon's stepmother, she murdered him in his bed. And she did this big clean-up operation. And, you know, she was a bit of a clean freak anyway, so she thought she'd done great, and all the lies she told, and then she had to walk back a lie and then make another lie. But it was a few days until they actually caught on. You know, when she reported Gannon missing, like they did a cursory, you know, search around the house, and they actually, if they'd have locked down that house straight away, they would have found Gannon straight away, because Gannon was in the suitcase. But Gannon was missing. You know, there was no reason to believe that anybody had done anything wrong at that point. But over the days, it became very clear that Letitia was a problem. But when they eventually went and, you know, forensically tested that house, they found blood spatter, like, you know, evidence of blood spatter that had been cleaned up, but it was under the floor. You know, it was the stuff that you can't clean. So I think the cops, I think they know that if a murder's taking place in a house, and once they get that probable cause to get the search warrant to forensically test that house, they're going to find it, because no cleanup crew is really that good. So there is that. So it's unusual, very unusual, that they would lock down a house like straight away. But in this case, they did. And the reason was Stefan's phone. The reason was those pictures on Stefan's phone. That was the reason why they got that lockdown. They turfed them out of the house. Yeah, Letitia is a literal demon. She absolutely is. You're not wrong there, princess. You're not wrong there. So she had to know, Jenn had to know something was really, really wrong. She had to be scared. And then, you know, the cop brings it up to her. that, well, surely you must have known. You must have known something. She's like, no, I've no idea. No idea. No idea. Yeah, whatever.
I don't care if it's the love of my life sitting next to me. I don't care if it's maternal grandma. If the police come and take my mom's phone and my son's disappearance, I'm not going to offer my mom a lawyer. That's nuts to me. That to me shows you prioritizing stuff. Because at that point, you became more worried about him being falsely accused than anyone. Does that make sense what I'm saying? Whether or not that's what you felt. Does that make sense? People having lawyers is their constitutional right. That is a thing that everybody is afforded. But for somebody who's going through what you are going through, to offer him a lawyer leads me to believe that there may have been a conversation, there may have been knowledge, or there may have been some inclination that you had, whether it be his involvement, her location, or something to where in your mind there's guilt.
I promise you. Like,
because you offering him a lawyer is very weird.
It's so weird. It's so weird. I mean, look, if you're a parent or a grandparent and, you know, a kid goes missing and you think, right, we just got to find them. You know, they've been dropped off at school. They've decided to play truant. They've decided to go on, you know, some kind of fun day or something. We just got to find them. You know, maybe they've got injured. Maybe they've, you know, they're staying at a friend's and it'll be only a matter of time before we find them. So let's get all boots on the ground. Let's go and find them. But no, the day after, the cops show you a picture of your child being abused in the most horrendous of ways. And your response is to that monster's father, get him a lawyer. That's, I mean, unless she's like this great advocate for, you know, innocent till proven guilty and, you know, withholding the Constitution and blah, 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 all of that. Fair enough. Okay, I'll give her that if that's true. But this is her child. Like, look, I will say, I will say to anybody, get a lawyer. You know, if you're accused of something, get a lawyer. Don't speak, just get a lawyer. But if it's my child that's being abused, do you think I'm going to maintain that get a lawyer? No. I'm going to be like, how do we get a hitman into that jail? How do we get this guy? How do we get this guy 6 foot under as quickly as possible? Our only child as well, yeah, if that makes a difference. Dear me. Dear me. I mean, the guy that killed my son, you know, my first question wasn't, has he got a lawyer? Like, make sure he gets a lawyer, you know, call his daughter and say, make sure your dad gets a lawyer. No. It was, how can we deal with this guy? I didn't deal with him. I planned it all, right? But I didn't go through with it. I thought, no, we'll stay within the law and we'll let the law do its thing. But the thought of the guy getting a lawyer, I'm sorry, did not enter my head. I didn't answer. I didn't say to the cops, does he have a lawyer? Does he have a lawyer? That wasn't an inquiry that I made. Dear me. We don't help you hide the body. I mean, that's crazy to me. And I bet the cops have never seen that before. It's just so weird. So weird. And she's sitting there just like, I don't know.
I know. That was still me under the assumption that I think at one point you guys interviewed me, and when you guys showed me the picture of her, I believed the sexual stuff, but I didn't want to believe that he had done anything evil to her. I'm like, no, what if he did this stuff fine, but what if she's still missing out there? What if somebody...
So what if he did that stuff fine? So he did that stuff fine, but what if she's still out there? So it's okay for him to do all the sexual stuff. That's all fine. That's all fine. He did that stuff fine. But what if she's still out there? So she was still under the assumption that Maddie had been maybe kidnapped or injured somewhere. Come on now. Come on now.
But he took her. I still wanted to believe in his. I believed him. I believed his whole story. So I was just like, I kept repeating that part. I was like, what if she got dropped off? What if she got abducted? What if she's missing? But that was me assuming that you guys had the wrong guy. I wanted to think.
How could you assume that you got... Look. I'm pretty forgiving. Believe it or not, I'm a pretty forgiving person. Right? So if somebody, wrongs me, and then they truly, truly atone for what they've done, and they apologize, I'll give them a chance. They'll get one chance. However, if my child went missing, and then the cops showed me photos on a phone that belonged to the last person to see my child, and that person had slept in the bed with my child, like in the few hours before she supposedly was dropped off at school, the cops showed me a photo on a phone of my kid being abused by that very person. Am I going to believe in their innocence? No. Do you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play a game with them. You know what I'm going to do? I'm going to play a game with them. So when Stefan decided to go driving at night in my car, I took her car because the cops had got his car. And, he said he wanted to go looking for Maddie. I'd say, great. Let's go together. We can both go and look for Maddie. When he decided to go off on his jollies to Northport in my car, I'd have said, great, let's go together. Come and help you. That guy would not have been out of my sight because I would want to catch him out. But no, not in this case. No.
He was a good guy still, but clearly he's not. After everything you guys have told me and have shown me, I know he's the worst person on this face of the earth.
We know that now. We know he's a piece of shit now. But you didn't know that then.
I didn't.
Then you offered a guy who the police suspected of kidnapping, abducting, assisting the disappearance, offering a lawyer. And then we don't have to roundtable that. You went back to what you just said is the sex stuff is fine.
It's not fine.
Look, I know every relationship is different. I know everybody's family is different. I won't ask. But going back on, has he expressed interest in, I'll use the word weird, I'm not going to shame anybody for what they like, different sexual pleasures, different sexual experiences, different kinks that involve things you weren't comfortable with?
The only thing he's ever expressed to me was like anal.
Okay.
He had an anal kink and like butts.
Okay.
But that was something I was never comfortable with or doing. And I let him know that, but that's not something.
So, you guys slept in the same bed together. Stephen was a big portion of your life at one point. Steph was a big portion of your life at one point. And this is not me coming at you as a person or a bad person because shit happens in the past. We can't change the past. Has he ever expressed to you? Never. Has he ever made these statements about made you feel different?
No.
Okay. When you guys slept in the same bed together, no. Did you ever wake up and find them cuddling? Did you ever wake up and find them closer than you thought they should be?
They would snuggle, yeah. Okay. But we all snuggle. I didn't think that was that problem.
So if you guys are sleeping in the same bed, she's in the center, you've woken up and they're snuggling, they're under the same blanket, they're not under the same blanket?
No.
But just like
she's got her own blanket.
Spooning for what? What is snuggling to you? Because to me, snuggling is spooning. Big spoon, little spoon.
He would lay down like this and she would be right here in the nook.
Okay. How do you guys sleep? You guys sleep clothed, unclothed? I sleep clothed. Yeah. Shirt, pants, pajama sets?
Yes.
Everybody?
I sleep in like my everyday clothes.
Okay.
On pajamas or baggy t-shirts and shorts.
Okay.
And Stefan would sleep
She's speaking like she's just having an everyday conversation. we're talking about the most horrendous abuse of a child, and she's talking like it's just an everyday conversation. But I'm sure in this interview previous, she said that she slept in the middle. So she slept in the middle, Stefan was at one side and Maddie was at the other side. So how could she wake up with Stefan and Maddie snuggling, with Stefan lying on his back and Maddie kind of lying in the crook of his arm? How did they manage that in the night? Did they like wait till she was like asleep and then push her to one side? Let her prove it in front of a jury. Look, I don't think there's a jury alive that would believe this story, honestly. Crazy.
This t-shirt or boxers, sometimes with his pants on. But he didn't have pajamas.
Okay, so they would snuggle, sometimes him being in his boxers. You would wake up and she'd be in the nook of his arm, essentially in a cuddling position. But then you never found that weird.
No.
Okay. Again, you and I may find things different. Why? And I don't want you to look.
So Stefan is. Does she not realize if she went to sleep in the middle of them and she wakes up and she's not in the middle of them, does that not strike you as weird, Jen? Does that not strike you as weird, Jen? Seriously. It's just strange. She's the biological parent. Stefan has got no relationship. They're not even married. Not that that really matters, but he's no biological relationship with that child. She does. She's too selfish to sleep in the middle. Yeah. Yeah, Jen wasn't in the middle. Yeah, maybe she placed herself in the middle in this hypothetical scenario because it sounded better, which again makes me think she's covering. She's covering. I'm so torn with this woman. I really am. I'm really torn. It's just horrible.
Look back on it because now you know you victimized her for a long time, right? Under your roof, with you home most likely because you said you're always home. You just got this job. You've been living off disability. I know the Kissimmee Police Department has showed you pictures. I know they've verbally explained you some pictures. I can tell you that today, you're still downloading his Google Drives. You're still going through his social medias, his cloud-based servers, and everything else. And we can now piece back her victimization in your house under your care to 2020. I believe we've gone as far back as in. So when I ask, they woke up cuddling. Did you find things suspicious? Did you have an open relationship? Did he talk to you? Has he made inappropriate statements? It's almost like cheating, right? Have you ever been cheated on? Okay. Somebody can only cheat on somebody for so long until they fuck up or until something comes out.
I really like this guy. I really like him. Like, he's now, like triggering her, like saying cheating. He's using the word cheating. That Stefan and Maddie were cheating on her. Stefan was cheating on her with Maddie. I really like this guy. I don't think she quite picked up on it. But isn't it though? I mean, under any other circumstances, you know, Maddie's age and Maddie's relationship with Jenn aside, if somebody's sleeping, like your partner is sleeping with someone else, since 2020, and we actually do have, like at this point, 1st of March, they were still going through all of his photos, but they found an assault from 2019, so they took it back a year. Yeah, 2020 during lockdown. How was he able to commit all of that? And Jenn had no idea. So they found an assault from 2019. That's the first one. Now, she did say that Stefan and her met in 2016. but they were friends at first, and then they became best friends. And then 2018 is when they started having an intimate relationship. So almost from the very first throes of that intimate relationship, Stefan was abusing Maddie. And Maddie would have been 8 years old at that time. In 2019, Maddie would have been 8 years old. Stefan hid his tracks very well. Very, very manipulative. So she either has to be the most gullible person in the world, which is possible, but there's just certain things she says that leads me and you, many of you, to believe that she knew more than what she's letting on. And in 2019, Maddie was 8. She just turned 13 when she was murdered in 2024. So in 2019, 5 years previous, she would have been 8.
Somebody says something, right? So if we go back to 2020, we're looking at a minimum of 3.5 years. 3.5 years where I'm sure you guys are sexually active. Yes. So for 3.5 years under your care in your house, not only was he being sexually active with you, he had a sexual relationship. And I know it's an emotional thing, and I know it sucks to hear. But where I'm coming from is it seems like something that you can't hide forever. You guys live in a small space, close quarters, you sleep in the same bed. You guys all talk, you guys all share things. You're an observant person for the most part, I assume. Outside of taking medications and going to sleep, it seems very difficult. A lot of grown-ass adults can't hide an affair with somebody who doesn't live with them, let alone somebody who does live with them. So at a certain point, I do believe you became aware of what was going on.
No.
And when I say that, it doesn't mean you're in trouble. It doesn't change.
I know, but
I do believe that a reasonable person, I consider you a reasonable person, right? Do you think you're a reasonable person?
Yes.
Would be aware that under her roof, sexual relation.
I mean, look, I honestly don't know how she obviously had an idea. The fact that she wasn't comfortable with them sleeping together leads me to believe that she had some inkling that something wasn't right. But because she wanted Stefan to stay around, she didn't want to have sex with him. Like, they stopped having a sexual relationship, but she wanted to keep Stefan around. And one of the ways that Stefan would stay around is if she granted him access to Madeline. Now, I don't know whether she fully knew everything that was going on. But I still don't see this reaction she's having now as completely genuine. Yeah, stated he was her best friend, yeah. And she wanted to keep him around. Because they were probably very similar, like similar mental age. They were both very immature. Like, this is kind of what little kids do when they know the car, they like start fidgeting and like, I don't know, like pulling at her pants, and she starts like tugging at her shirt in a minute. It's very, very immature. I mean, look, I'd have been bouncing off the walls in anger. Like, my first reaction to something like this would be angry. I'm really, really effing angry. Self-soothing, yeah. really, really effing angry. Now, look, Stefan Stearns was manipulative. He was probably unlike other men. He was very disarming with that whiny voice. He liked playing with remote control cars and video games, and maybe when he was with Madeline, maybe there was no red flags when he was with Madeline, like playing video games or watching movies. But then we get the Woody Allen comment. Then we get this strange emotional distance from Jenn. So I'm torn. I really am. That I know full well that many parents, like non-offending parents, just get played. Like the grooming is as strong with the non-offending parent as it is with the child victim. But when they slept in the same bed and it's gone on for years, that's the bit. That's the bit that I'm struggling with. That at first, like maybe, the first couple of times when, the non-offending parent's been groomed, the child gets abused, but then the signs start and the non-offending parent picks up on it. So yeah, that child's already been abused before they realize that they've been groomed. But this must have been the perfect situation for Stefan Stearns. Like, he would have thought, I've got a really dumb one here. And I'm able to just have this child whenever I want because this mother is just so completely dumb. Is it that? Is it that really? I don't know how something can go on for so long in a small space, sharing the same bed. I don't know how it can go on for that long. And clearly the cops don't understand it either.
The videos, the text messages, the images, they're all documented forever. This has been an ongoing thing. And at her age, I think she probably thought they were in a relationship. She probably thought they were in love because he her male attention.
Oh, I like this guy. The trigger words, like cheating, like you've been cheated on. Like your daughter thought she was in love with him. This is trigger. I think he's trying to trigger some anger. And there's none. There's none. Bizarre.
Right. She just started liking boys, right? She just got a crush. Up until then, her crush. At the same time, you guys are sleeping in the same bed together. You guys are all cohabitating. She's not sleeping in her room, but you felt the need to establish a rule that they couldn't sleep in the same room. But when you establish that rule, for 3 years, she's already been dating him essentially, whether that's legal or not.
I had no idea.
So
she's already been dating him for 3 years. Do you see what this guy's doing? Clever. Like in a normal person, that would have been triggering some anger now. Like there would have been some kickback. Like, what do you mean? What do you mean my daughter was dating him for 3 years? She was a little girl, for F's sake. That's what a normal response would be. Like, why are you using these words? This is a little girl. Why are you saying that a little girl can be in love with a grown man? He's using those words very carefully to trigger her. And she's just not. She's just like, oh, I didn't know. Turned a blind eye or worse. Listen, if this is denial, which I do believe it is, it's very, very, very deep denial. This is a case that psychologists are going to study. If I was still working as a lecturer in psychology, this would be an interview that I would use in a class on child abuse. Because I used to teach that. Little Bear Paws, thank you so much for the $1.99. Thank you so much. You're very kind. Because the debate would be, this would be a debate topic. The debate would be, is she a groomed and completely gullible, non-offending parent, or is there more to it? Because I don't think many psychologists have seen this. Not to this degree. Yes, absolutely. We know that non-offending parents get groomed. We know they get manipulated. But to be sleeping in the same bed and then saying that you don't want them to sleep on their own, and it goes on for years, at what point does that stop being innocence? Should a deep dissociative escape from reality? Possibly. Possibly. Now, we do know she's had trauma in her past, so we've got the possibility here for some PTSD. Is there a level of dissociation that goes along with that? Sometimes, yes. But then, if she was dissociated, why is she saying she's not comfortable with what happened? That's a conscious denial. That's consciously saying, well, I'm not comfortable with it. However, go ahead and do it. But I'm not comfortable with it. But do it. You can do it just this once. That to me sounds like conscious denial, because for her own selfish reasons, she wants to have a good night's sleep, or for her own selfish reasons, she wants to keep Stefan there. So there's more than two ways to look at this, honestly. I mean, one thing that she did clarify, I think it was earlier on in this interview, that it was Stefan that Maddie told about the crush on the boy at school. So it wasn't, as I assumed, Maddie had told Jenn that she had a crush on a boy at school. No, Maddie told Stefan that she had a crush on a boy at school. And it was Stefan that told Jenn about the crush. Now, to me, that is a motive. To me, that is a motive. Wouldn't trauma make you alternate between dissociation and hypervigilance? Sometimes, but not necessarily. Some people with PTSD have no dissociation at all. Not that we call dissociation. So the symptoms of PTSD are avoidance. So you consciously do things to avoid any stimuli. So, like, say, for example, you won't watch certain TV shows, or you won't read newspapers for fear of being triggered about crime or similar crimes to what you've experienced. So you've got avoidance, but then you've got hypervigilance. So that can be awareness of your own anxiety. So you're hypervigilant, you know what your triggers are, and you're just highly, highly anxious. And then you get some under the surface subconscious things like nightmares and flashbacks and things like that. So you wouldn't call nightmares dissociation, because it's just sleeping. We don't call sleeping dissociation. It's just sleeping. But when your conscious mind shuts off when you're asleep, then your trauma comes to the fore in the form of nightmares. But dissociation is comorbid, or can be comorbid with PTSD, but it's not a symptom of it. Like depression is comorbid with PTSD, but it's not a symptom of it, because not everybody with PTSD is depressed. But people with very, very serious trauma, where your PTSD is chronic and complex, then those people are more likely to also suffer from comorbid dissociative disorders. Oh, it's a long time since I've had to think about this stuff. But yeah.
I truthfully believe, and this is my belief, I'm not speaking for other detectives, I'm not speaking for the sheriff's office, the state police department, or any other agency I've said. This is Kevin's belief. I believe that you became aware of your sexual relationship. I think at a certain point throughout this relationship, you became aware of it. And for whatever reason, your reasons are your reasons, whether it was discussed that it would stop, whether it was discussed how it would go, that you feel some sense of guilt. A lot of the news statements you've given kind of, again, my opinion only, I don't speak for anybody else, whether it's in this room or out of this room, bother me. It seems like some of your emotion, up until this room, I think some of the emotion in this room is sincere. I think a lot of it's because I'm being an asshole. I'm telling you things you don't want to hear that shouldn't be said out loud. But when you talk to the news, when you talk to deputies, it feels, based on my experience in this job, that it's not sincere. I feel like some of your sadness is not real sadness. I feel like when you gave the interview with Fox 35, it was not sincere. Looking at that video one time, I didn't feel like your cries were sincere. And I'm not saying that because you're a bad person. I feel like sometimes people struggle to show real emotion when they're aware of what the truth is. So it has to be fake. This is demise for the past, let's say, 5 years, right? But her going missing, her disappearance, if you have knowledge of how it happened, where it happened, an inclination, that emotion's not going to feel sincere because you're already aware of what happened.
I would.
It's almost becomes a lie at that point.
If I knew anything, I promise you, I would tell you. Like, I am willing to take a lie detector test, whatever the fuck you want, but I don't know anything. He's never mentioned anything. I've never seen any signs. I tried watching her like a hawk. I thought I was doing a good job, but I wasn't.
You tried watching her like a hawk. Tried watching her like a hawk, but yeah, even though you weren't comfortable with it, you would let your daughter go and sleep in a different room on a different floor of the house with a grown man. Okay. All right. I think there's elements of what she's saying that are true. I think there are. But like, I don't think she was involved. I really don't think. I don't think she understood the seriousness of it, but I do think she was aware. I do think she was. I think she had awareness that she pushed to the back of her mind. Self-preservation. It's self-preservation now, maybe. Think he was drugging Jen. He could well have been. He absolutely could well have been. He could well have been. She's a classic victim of grooming. Possibly. But he was either very, very good at what he was doing. Look, he hit the jackpot. If she's completely and totally 100% telling the truth that she had zero idea of anything that was going on, even though she wasn't comfortable, even though she said that she hoped that when Maddie was 18, that her and Stefan didn't run away together. Okay. Why, if you had no idea of any form of inappropriate intimacy, why would you say that I hope this doesn't turn into a Woody Allen situation where when she's 18, they don't run away together? Because that then takes Jen out of the equation. She wanted to keep the status quo. She wanted Stefan to stay. Played it like an ostrich. She wanted Stefan to stay, and she selfishly was prepared to turn a blind eye. And I think that's her crime. Turning a blind eye. She did nothing to stop it. She did nothing to explore the uncomfortable feeling. You know, you don't just sit with an uncomfortable feeling and then let the same thing happen again without making some kind of attempt to deal with it, unless you are either completely gaslit, manipulated, and are so gullible that the offender has hit the jackpot, or you purposefully allow it to happen because you're selfish. Either of those happened. Either of those.
I was oblivious to everything. 4 years?
Minimum. That's just how far back the clown goes. I find it hard to believe for me that you were so worried about how many pills she took at night, but not where she slept or what relationship she was. His interest in her.
I thought we were all safe. I thought because in that he hadn't shown me anything so far. Like everything seems fine. Like he seemed like he treated her like
he treats you. In his mind.
so fucking.
Oh, I wish there was no redaction there. So he treated her like he treats you. So treated her like a girlfriend. A normal person will be so spitting with anger at this point. Like, will be kicking back at this detective. Like saying, absolutely not. How can you say that? How can you possibly sit there and think that my partner or ex-partner treated my little girl like a girlfriend? Was she drug tested? Well, Maddie will have been. We don't know the toxicology report, but sister wives, that happens, doesn't it? I don't know. I don't know. This is very, very strange. Very strange. Yeah, this isn't normal. He was the source. She was in over her head with this evil monster. Well, yeah, it's possible that she maybe is of some kind of low intellect. She is, I mean, I don't know. I know she's got bipolar disorder. I don't know if she's got any other, whether she's got any developmental issues. I don't know whether she's on the autistic spectrum. I don't know anything else about her diagnoses other than bipolar disorder. But certainly this is not bipolar disorder. We're not seeing the effects of bipolar disorder here. But she is heavily medicated. You know, she's on medicine for bipolar. She takes sleeping medicine. It could well be that Stefan was giving her, you know, she was taking her allotted dose and Stefan was maybe dropping something else into her drink. Who knows? And I think he was also drugging Maddie. So maybe he was drugging both of them so that Jenn would go into, you know, a really deep sleep so that he could manipulate her, like physically manipulate her around the bed and she wouldn't wake up. And I think he was drugging Maddie too. So maybe part of this, like, not knowing was because she was drugged all the time. Wonder what her other children are like. Why she got divorced. She's not got any other children. Not that I know about, anyway. Oh, they were drugging Maddie. Well. But I believe that Maddie is Jenn's only child. Wasn't the grandma in the house too? No, not at this time. Not at this time. They did stay at her mother's house previous, but in this current house, no, there was 2 roommates. And then Jenn. And obviously Maddie. So how do we know that Jenn wasn't allowing Stefan to drug Maddie so that she wouldn't be aware of what was happening? You know, the fact that Maddie was, you know, in some of her pictures, she looks like she's got black rings under her eyes, like she's really tired. Like she does look over medicated in some of her photos. Obviously, that could be lighting, it could be camera, blah, blah, blah. But wasn't she was falling asleep at school? Like her grades weren't very good. And then after Stefan moved out, her school started to improve. So
So now he's in jail, is what we found on his phone. Not because somebody came forward and reported that he was abused.
No, I know.
She's not old enough to consent. She's not old enough to have a thought process to even want anything that was happening to her. It's abuse. So he's in jail for that. But something caused what, right? We searched murder, because we can call it a murder. She didn't die naturally. She didn't overdose. She didn't have a heart attack. We circled murder on Monday. Something had to cause that. He's been having unrestricted sexual activity for a long time. He's getting what he wants from her, probably from you, and who knows whoever else, right? So it's not like he woke up or went to bed Sunday and he was like, you know what? I'm done with this, but I'm going to kill her. Something happened. People don't just wake up and like, you know what? They leave people, they break up with people, but usually things cause people to snap. Now, what? You know what? And I'm in trouble, or I feel like I'm going to, or him being out. We can go even worse. She's pregnant.
That's what questions last night led me to believe when we started talking about her period.
I was told that her and her friend, and granted, I'm male, never had a period, but that somebody found it weird that they were no longer on the same cycle. Could be different because she's a teenage girl. Could be that she missed her period. Have you ever found a pregnancy test at home that wasn't yours?
so she's not denying this, is she? She's not saying, shut up, that's preposterous. She's kind of agreeing with him that maybe was something on her mind as well.
I have two underneath the bathroom sink, but I haven't seen if they're still there or not.
Okay. But you haven't seen any used ones in the trash?
No.
Their relationship hasn't changed?
No.
Okay. So what do you think happened Sunday? Other than him killing her. What do you think made him snap?
I don't know. Theories. I keep hearing
Tell me your theories, because here's the deal. We don't go home until she's found.
No, I know.
So what are your theories?
What I've heard is, what if she?
Why? Yeah. Why would Jenn have two pregnancy tests? Why would Jenn have pregnancy tests? Because she wasn't sleeping with Stefan. Like they'd broken up. So are these pregnancy tests, have they been there for a long time? Like, was she trying to get pregnant and had got a couple of pregnancy tests in? Or were those pregnancy tests not for her? We have to ask the question. We have to ask that question. 2 for 1 sale. Yeah, sometimes you can get like 2 for the price of 1, like a bog off. Buy 1, get 1 free. But why would you buy them in the first place? So had she had them for years and they just happened to, just be in there? They come in packs of 3. I have no idea. Listen, it's a long time. I've not bought a pregnancy test for, well, my youngest child's nearly 22. So it's nearly 23 years since I last bought a pregnancy test. So I have no idea what kind of packs they come in. But why did she have them? Maddie's 13.
She upset him and threatened to tell me. and saying that she was going to tell me, and he needed to shut that down. That's the only thing.
What do you think?
I believe. I don't want to believe he killed her. You're telling me he must have killed her Sunday night and snuck her body out in the morning. That photo you guys showed me of herself in the car.
You don't want to kill her.
I want to believe she's still alive and that she got kidnapped, but that doesn't seem like that's the case at all. Yeah. I know. My brain just wants to believe something else. I just want to believe she's still alive and she's out there.
Did he tell you he fucked up?
No. He acted so normal that day. He was like, I'm so impressed. We got out of the house so early. Like she made great time. We had so much time to go to McDonald's, but she didn't want to. His story was so fun. Like every detail was so believable. He's just been lying this whole time. Like he's.
What about that damn car? You offered him a lawyer. Did you disclose anything to you there that made you feel like, oh fuck, you need to lawyer?
No. He kept acting like he didn't know what was happening, and I'm like, don't you see forensics? Don't you see they took your phone? Like something's happening. Like I think they're gonna pin this on you. And I'm like, in my head, I'm going, they have the wrong guy. Like
They think they're gonna pin this on you. Think they're gonna pin this on you. That's an odd statement to make when it's your child that's missing. When your ex-partner is the one that they're all like interested in. Yeah, the way she cries and then she's totally normal, yeah.
they're just honing in on the last person who saw her. But no, you guys knew more.
You never said, what did you do?
I've never asked him any of that.
Why wouldn't you ask him though? I mean, look, you know, you'd be, even if deep down you believed he was innocent, wouldn't you still ask, wouldn't you still be suspicious of everybody? I'd be watching him like a hawk. I would be, all right, if you want to go and look for Maddie, let's go together. 2 eyes are better than one. 2 sets of eyes are better than one. I wouldn't have let him out of my sight. I might not have said anything, but I absolutely would not have let him out of my sight. I'd wait for him to make a mistake. But is it possible she's just so gullible? Is it possible? Yes. Yeah, that is me. That is me. Yeah, not everybody would do the same. Absolutely. I'd just be suspicious of everybody. And she said she didn't trust men. Yeah, I know. She said in that note that she didn't trust men. And then the one man that is the monster, she seemed to have complete 100% trust in. Weird.
I still, even up until when we got here to the police station, I was convinced that he hadn't done anything to her at all.
Because of him or because of not wanting to believe she's deceased?
Because of him. Because I thought he was a good guy.
So up until this morning, you still think that it's not?
No.
So every other guy's bad. Every other guy she can't trust. Just this one guy. So absolutely possible he was so good at manipulating her that the whiny voice, and he wasn't like any other guy that she'd ever met, lulled her into a false sense of security. Trusted Stefan with my life. Okay.
No.
We're talking about the other day.
Up until
When we took him.
yes, I forgot what day that was.
So we're still going to do his phone, his drive, his social, all his socials. We're going to date back to 2020. Based on the videos, it appears that was the start of the victimization. Okay, are you going to find anything in his phone with you?
He never done anything.
Has there ever been a request for the two of you to participate in sexual activity with him?
No.
Regardless of you saying no or yes?
No, he's never asked that.
Okay. If we find pictures like that, is that going to surprise you? So if I'm in his Google Drive, if I have a sex crimes detective, a computer person look at his phone, and they tell me, hey, Kevin, I found a picture engaged in sexual activity or borderline sexual activity, is that going to surprise you?
Yes, because that doesn't exist.
Okay. At any time.
All right. So that's the first time she's been forceful. The very first time in this entire interview, she's been forceful and said, no, this doesn't exist. That's a very different tone of voice. And I believe that. That's a very different tone of voice than all of this. I didn't know. When we're talking about Maddie and Stefan sleeping together. That is genuine. That is how you would expect someone to react to these kind of accusations. In my opinion.
During the course of your relationship, if he expressed that he's ever had sex with a child?
No. Not a child, but when he told me when he was in high school, he graduated high school like later, like older than 18.
Okay.
He dated somebody younger than 18. I think she was 15. But I don't know how old he was.
What's the age of consent in Florida? It's not 15, is it?
It was 19, 20. But he was an older kid in high school. He graduated late. But he had a really young girlfriend. Her name was Kendall. And I thought that was weird. I was like, that's a little too young. He goes, no, it's fine. We were in high school. Everything was normal. Her parents left me. Blah, 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 blah. But that's the only one.
Have you ever gone through his phone? Okay.
So, in her mind, a 20-year-old dating a 15-year-old, okay. And then it was, so Maddie wasn't much younger than that 15-year-old. And that didn't concern her in any way? No, all right, okay.
If you had knowing Stefan, knowing where he lives, knowing where he goes, how he conducts his life, give me your top 5. Because I know you haven't thought about it. If you haven't thought about it, that's another weird thing I got. Since Monday, right? We told you on Wednesday that we think he did it.
Yeah.
So from Wednesday till today, it's about 48 hours. Give me your top 5 places you think are possibilities based on knowing him, based on knowing his path of travel. Where do you think? It doesn't have to be based on evidence, just in your gut. Give me your top 5 places where you think he.
In this area?
Doesn't have to be this area.
No, I know.
Anywhere you want.
I'm saying in this area, I have no idea. Orlando, Kissimmee, no idea where he could have taken her. But his trip to Northport is weird as fuck. I feel like in Northport, he knows more people. He has more friends. There could be a place, and somewhere there he could have stashed her. You guys said he went into a storage unit. That would be another place to look. But
she's talking about her own daughter here. And she's totally like having just an everyday conversation. Like, listen, I would be able to have this kind of conversation, right? I would be able to think through where somebody might have stashed a child's body and think it through logically and communicate that logically. But I would be angry. This is just so matter of fact. Matter of fact. Oh, this could be a place where he stashed her. This could be a place where he stashed her. Oh, I would check out that storage facility. Yeah. Yeah. It's her child. Where was Maddie's body found? Old Hickory Tree Road, which is in St. Cloud, which is about 20 miles away from where Maddie lived. Because stashed her in a storage unit.
There's plenty of woods around his house. Around that exit is kind of secluded. Like,
When you say his house, you mean his parents' house?
his parents' house, yeah.
You've been there? Have you seen the property?
Yeah, I've been there before.
Do they have land? Or is it in like a neighborhood?
So it's not a neighborhood because they don't have HOA. You just buy the plot of land and build it. They don't have many neighbors.
Okay.
Or last I saw, I think there was a neighbor building right next door, but I don't know if they're done yet. I just feel like he had more. There would have been more spots in Northport for her to be dumped. Because from what you guys have told me, he went to St. Cloud, he went to 192. Could you guys tell where he turned on any of these roads? It's just that he was on the main road. I didn't think he ever even knew where St. Cloud was because we've never driven down that way ever.
No, you live in Kissimmee, right?
Yeah, I know, but to me, he's never had a reason to ever drive down to St. Cloud, ever. There's no store or anything he goes to down there. Everything is in Kissimmee or Orlando by the mall.
Florida Mall?
Yeah.
Orlando Mall?
Yeah, by Florida. I sent the last detective 3 spots. I could have recalled him telling me he wanted to visit Monday when he left the house in the afternoon and got the flat tire. He had mentioned a few of those shops, so I sent them over to you guys. There's honestly nowhere to think of. We've never gone to the only wooded area that we've ever gone together would be Shingle Creek Regional Park, where the Pioneer Village is.
Okay.
That whole trail there, we had scooters, and he had an electric skateboard kind of thing.
What do I think the sighing is about? Sighing's a release of tension, or it can be. So I think she's trying to calm herself down. But, going back to that she didn't think his behaviour was odd in any way, that he went looking for Maddie on Highway 192, which is where Hickory Tree Road comes off. She didn't think that was odd, that he went there in the middle of the night. I mean, I would have said to them, go and check all the places that he's been in the last 4 days. Why are we sitting? I'd be mad. But again, this is just me. I'd be mad. I'd be like, why are we sitting here? Why are you sitting here asking me all these questions when you should be out retracing his steps, going back to every place where he's was last seen on surveillance? Why aren't you going checking out all the places that I've said he went to? End of. She was found in St. Cloud, yes. Exactly. You would be suspicious of the dog sitting on your car. Too right, you would. To be fair, though, she might not know that they did. They might not have told her that. But absolutely, when I read that in the police report, was before I knew that he'd taken Jenn's car and gone back to the crime scene. So it makes total sense that a dog would hit on, I think it was one of the wheel rims on Jenn's car. Well, obviously the dog hit because he drove that car back to the crime scene. He went back, but he went back in Jenn's car. Do I think that because I am normal? Honestly, Lois, I don't think I am normal. I think I can be very, very logical and detached when I'm talking about like traumatic events. I wouldn't be crying. I wouldn't be. But I would be mad. That's my response. My dominant response is being mad. So I would change from being mad when I was being accused to being very logical. If they asked me a question about what I thought, but the things about, you know, Maddie being in a relationship and Maddie having a crush on Stefan, and Maddie, you know, when they were talking about cheating, and when they were, you know, now we're talking about all the places where Stefan could possibly have stashed her body, I'd be mad at all of that. I'd be like, why are we here? Why are you asking me these questions when you know full well where he went? Why are you not out looking for her?
We would all cruise the creek, explore. We've taken a canoe up that creek before. Then the Kissimmee Trail. There's a trail that runs right behind my house starts right behind my house and goes all the way to that bridge on Diamond Parkway that says Kissimmee on it. That whole trail, we've done that as well. That's the only places I could think that like he may have gone, because that's where I know I've gone with him before. But anywhere else, I have no idea.
So our ERT team, so emergency response team, just a group of people who search areas. Doesn't have to be one.
Where was Maddie found? She was found on Old Hickory Tree Road. So it's very rural in St. Cloud, about 20 miles away from where Maddie lived. Jenn has zero self-esteem. I think so. I think she's probably more emotionally troubled than we realize. But it doesn't excuse anything that she might have known at all. Not one bit. Yeah, it was like it was a field. There was like a patch of trees in a field, like a farmer's field. The police have given her a long leash. Well, you know what they say about long leashes. Give somebody enough rope, they'll hang themselves. And they certainly gave her the rope. These cops really tried. They put her through the ringer. They really tried. I don't think they believe her. They think she knows more. They've no evidence though. She fears being alone. Yeah. And now look. Look at where we are now.
Can be wooded, can be swampy. They've been out 3 days. They're gonna be out all weekend. They will eventually. There's today, there's tomorrow, but it's in 2026. Okay. I don't think you want that to take too long. Right, I'm sure you'd like to have a funeral. I'm sure you'd like to have some kind of memorial service. The last thing you want is for us to call you in a year and say, hey, we found remains. We don't know. Okay. That may not be something you thought about till just now, but I can tell you, being someone who investigates homicide, that is something that everybody has to come think about eventually. If you can think of anything that would assist us in making that happen to you today versus 2 years from now, regardless of why you know or how you know, we need it.
No, I know. If I knew anything, I would tell you right now. I promise. I want her back so bad. I want to go about planning a funeral.
That's genuine crying, I believe. I think that's genuine. I think that's genuine. However, what's she actually crying for is the question.
What has your communication been like with his father since this?
I've limited contact over the last 2 days because I know too much and I don't want to tell them anything.
You don't want to tell them what we've told you, or you don't want to tell them what you know?
No, I don't want to tell them what you guys have told me. I don't want to share. It's so difficult because I've known them for just as long as I've known Steph, and they feel like absolute shit right now. I know that they kind of got into a fight because Chris started, are you sure we know our son? Are you sure we know our son? I don't think we know him at all. The mom was defending him, but now with everything, with the evidence on the phone coming out, they know he's a piece of shit.
We talked to his dad, and his dad knows as much as you know. He knows his son's a rapist. He knows his son's a murderer. He's talked to us. He's been very open with wanting to help in any way he can, whether that's technological, whether that's verbal.
Yeah, he even had. I was with him when he turned in his knife to you guys. He remembered he had a knife on him and gave it to you guys. I thought that was.
Have you talked to Chris about Stephen needing a lawyer?
Yeah.
When?
I think when you guys showed me the photos.
So we showed you photos of Stephen raping.
No.
First thought you had was to ask his father if he should get a lawyer.
No. I saw a picture. I didn't see the rape. I didn't know she was getting raped until yesterday. I saw the picture.
What did you know? Didn't know she was being raped. Didn't know it was that serious. But what did you know? Would have been my question. She comes down from crying too fast. She actually does. She recovers very good, very well. She's been good at pushing things away that she didn't want to face. Yeah, I agree with that. I think her family knew too much. Well, her family wouldn't have Stefan in the house. I think everybody probably warned Jenn about him. That's why Stefan didn't go to Madeline's birthday party. He wasn't invited because Jenn's mother won't have him in the house. So I think probably everybody else was able to see something wrong with Stefan, and maybe Jenn dug her heels in. Maybe.
Of the oral sex happening, and I knew that was true, right? That's evidence. That's for real. That's fucking happening. But I kept thinking, they're going. I don't know why I can't tell you why my brain kept thinking, no, he didn't kill her. Not that he didn't kill her, but she's still missing. She's still out there. She was taken. Yes, he's done this to her, and that's not okay. But I swore she was still, I felt in my body she was still alive. She was still out there. I told Chris to get him a lawyer because I felt like you guys were chasing the wrong person. But you weren't. You're not.
We showed you a picture.
Okay. Even if she genuinely believed that they got the wrong person for Maddie's murder or Maddie's disappearance, that's your child that they're showing you a picture of being abused, and yet you still want to get the guy a lawyer. So even if Maddie wasn't missing, let's say, even if Maddie was not missing, she never went missing, but they found, I don't know, pictures on his phone. For some other reason, the cops had his phone and found the pictures. Would Jenn still say Stefan needs a lawyer? Because that's what I'm hearing. That's what I'm hearing. That he needs a lawyer to help him in his defense against the abuse of her own daughter. She'd still be with him now. Yeah, she may make excuses. She may blame Madeline. Who knows? Who knows?
picture you.
Because one thing I do know is many non-offending parents, and I say that loosely when I say non-offending parent, actually was made aware. They were made aware by their own child that abuse was going on, and they chose not to believe the child. So is it possible that that happened, that Maddie did try to tell her and she didn't listen? That's always possible. That's also got to be on the table.
You saw she was giving a blowjob to a grown-ass man, and you told his dad to get him a lawyer. Missing, right? Now you, but then you just thought she was missing. And we were showing you our investigative lead being raped. A blowjob is rape. Not consensual. Whether she wants to do it or not, that is not consensual. And you prioritized him again. You prioritized him by offering him or telling his dad to get him a lawyer. Not what the fuck did he do? Not, hey, we need to figure out what happened. No, let's protect Stefan.
I wasn't shocked.
No, that's not shock.
No, that's not shock. That's, we got to protect Stefan. So you see, your child being photographed, giving, in his words, a grown-ass man a blowjob, and your response is, we need to get him a lawyer. This cop could not have been any more direct with her, that this is wrong. Like, in what part of your life, what part of your world do you not see that this is wrong? Like, this is their investigation. They said, we've shown you the results of our investigation up to now, and this is a grown-ass man giving a child a blowjob, and you say, give him a lawyer because we've got to protect Stefan.
That is your natural instinct to protect Stefan. Okay? And if that's naturally how you react, that's fine. But that goes into what I've been telling you this whole conversation is I don't believe a lot of the things you're saying, and I don't believe a lot of the things you say you weren't aware of. And that is because you've now shown me twice that your first reaction, no matter what you were told or shown, missing or seizing the cell phone, or we're showing you pictures of her giving him a blowjob, your first reaction is to protect Stefan. So now, ordered by Stefan, you're aware of this. You were shown pictures of this. You were shown pictures of her body in his car with a seatbelt on, right? We have played it out for you. Now you're in a stage where he's in jail. You know she's passed away, and now you can feel emotion, right? Up until that point, when you were shown that she was deceased, your continued first reaction is to protect this guy. You just said, I only saw a picture of him, whatever your verbiage was, I say blowjob, of his penis in her mouth, and your first reaction was, fuck. Oh my, victimized? No. She's being abused? No. It's Stefan needs a lawyer.
I mean, look, at that point, you just want to grab him and tear his limbs off. Wouldn't you? I don't want to peel his skin off. It's like she's not grasping how serious those pictures were. And you've got to say, well, why is she not recognizing how serious those pictures were? Is it because she already had time to digest all of that because she knew, not necessarily everything, but she knew stuff was happening and she's had time to come to terms with that? Or is she so out of it? Is she so out of it? And I don't think that's shock. I don't think that's shock. I don't think that's shock.
The fuck cares if we think he killed her? He's.
I don't know why. I don't know why I said that.
But that's the problem. You don't know why. So the reaction in your mind is you are continuously protecting this guy. So why do I sit here and believe that you don't? Because right now, you know Stefan killed her. You know Stefan's been raping her. You know without her body, can he be charged with murder?
I don't know.
Exactly. So you don't know what we can do. Do I think we can charge him with murder? It's not up to me. Should he be charged with murder? Yes.
Please.
Does your role in her life lead this to happen? I'll be honest. Yes. Since she was a child, since her victimization started, it occurred under your roof, and you acted like it didn't exist. And knowing the victimization, knowing how ongoing it is, knowing that you saw a picture of it, not just us telling you, not me and him saying, hey, listen, he's being, I think they had a bad relationship. They showed you a fucking picture of it, and you still protected him. So how am I supposed to not think that the thought process in your mind is until she's found, Stefan can't be charged with murder? Because we both now know that you don't want him to be charged with murder because you want him to have a lawyer.
No, I don't. That was
he can't be charged with murder.
That was then. Everything that you guys have shown me since then and have shown me that he's
so he had to show you a picture of her dead in the car for you to finally not take his side? Enough. Do you not see where I'm coming from? Like, I'm not trying to be a dick here, but it makes absolutely no sense that you were is Stefan.
I don't know.
Where does your mind go? Stefan.
She's no answer to that, has she? She's no answer to that. None. She has no answer to that at all. And that concerns me greatly. That concerns me greatly. Anyhow, I have been on here for nearly 2 hours. So I'm going to call it there. That's where I wanted to get up to. It's a fascinating interview. It's I don't want to tell you what to think, but it infuriated me, that's for sure. And I don't know what to make of her. She's very, very unusual. Very unusual. But I'd fully recommend you go and watch the whole thing. Like I said at the beginning, I played this from Gray Hughes' channel. I've played about 50 minutes of it, maybe. But it's nearly 3 hours long. So if you want to see an uncommentated on version of it, Gray Hughes has it. I know Plunder has a version where there's no commentary. Grizzly True Crime has it, but I think I haven't watched that, but I think she commentated on it. Yeah, Plunder has the uncut available. So there's a few channels if you want to go and watch it without commentary. There's a few channels that have done it. I'd strongly recommend it. It's a very eye-opening. And she's very triggering. She's very triggering. So the link's here if you want to go right now and watch it. The link is in the description box as well for replay viewers. So, all right, guys. So thank you for joining me. I know it's a horrible one. Horrible, horrible, horrible case. But I don't think she's going to get charged. I don't think she's going to get charged. Yeah, self-preservation. That's what it is. Self-preservation. All right, so thanks for joining me. Thank you, mods, as always. Thank you for those that donated towards the beginning of the live stream. And welcome to the new members. So enjoy the rest of your day. Bye, guys.